Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever felt that deep, like bone-tired exhaustion that sleep just doesn't seem to touch? That feeling of being completely burnt out, even when you're actually trying to take it easy?
Oh, absolutely. It's a struggle so many of us face, isn't it? And it leaves you wondering, like, why am I still so drained, even when I'm trying to recover?
Exactly. And that feeling, it's apparently incredibly common. It points to something, well, much deeper than just needing a good long vacation.
It really does. And this deep dive, it's based on that really powerful book you shared. It gets right to the heart of this, blending, scientific insight with some really practical wisdom.
And the authors have such interesting backgrounds, too. One's a health educator, right?
Yeah.
A PhD.
Yeah, and the other is a conductor, which seems like an unusual pairing, but they offer this really unique take on what's actually going on with burnout.
So they start by giving us a really clear definition, which is helpful. Burnout isn't just, feeling tired. Not at all. According to this material, it's got 3 key components. First, there's that pervasive emotional exhaustion, that feeling of being drained from caring too much for too long.
Right. You think about people in caregiving roles, parents, teachers, nurses.
Yeah.
You just give and give until there's kind of nothing left in the tank.
Precisely. And that's closely linked to the second component, depersonalization. This is where your empathy, your compassion, it just feels depleted. Like you can't access that part of yourself that connects and cares anymore. You're just running on empty.
Which I guess naturally leads to the third piece they mentioned, that decreased sense of accomplishment.
Exactly. That crushing feeling that nothing you do really makes a difference no matter how hard you try. You're putting in all this effort, but it feels futile, like you're stuck.
And that framework really highlights why burnout seems so prevalent, right? Across so many different fields and aspects of life.
Yeah, the source material mentions high rates among educators, medical professionals, aid workers, and even the growing recognition now of parental burnout. It's touching a huge number of people.
Okay. So our mission for this deep dive then, using the insights from the book you brought, is to understand the root cause. What's behind this persistent exhaustion? And maybe more importantly, explore the practical ways this source suggests we can actually move through it.
Yeah, it's really about unlocking this thing they call the stress cycle. That's a key concept here.
Okay, let's dive into that stress cycle. The body's stress response is, well, it's ancient, isn't it? Designed for immediate threats.
Super ancient.
Yeah.
And powerful. The book uses a perfect analogy. Imagine encountering a lion. Instantly, your body gears up for fight or flight. Adrenaline surges, heart races, muscles tense. It primes you for intense physical action to survive. That's the design.
That evolutionary response makes total sense for, well, a lion. But here's where it gets really interesting, based on this material. Just because the physical threat disappears, say you manage to escape the lion, that doesn't automatically switch off the physiological response, does it?
Exactly. That's the crucial insight. Your body is still in action mode. It's flooded with stress hormones, neurochemicals. It's ready for the fallout or maybe the next threat. And just telling yourself, okay, it's over, calm down, that doesn't really work on a physiological level. Your body needs a different kind of signal.
Right. And the problem in modern life, as the book points out, is that our lions are usually things we can just fight or run away from once and be done with.
No, they're often chronic stressors. Things like systemic issues, maybe difficult relationships, financial strain, a really demanding job, ongoing caregiving. These stressors often don't just disappear. Or maybe we don't take the actions our bodies recognize as completing that cycle of threat and returning to safety.
So we get stuck. That's the idea. Our bodies stay in that sort of low-level alert state, circulating those stress chemicals, even when there's no immediate danger right in front of us.
Precisely. And the source makes this really crucial distinction. Stress itself isn't inherently bad. We need it sometimes. It's getting stuck in the stress response cycle that leads to the chronic exhaustion and ultimately burnout.
That reframing feels important. Wellness isn't about avoiding stress entirely. I mean, that's impossible, right?
Totally impossible. It's about building the capacity to move through the stress cycle, to allow your body to complete the response and return to a state of safety and equilibrium.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? How do we complete this cycle physiologically?
Well, the book really emphasizes that the key is physical release. Your body needs some kind of physical signal that it has survived, that it has processed the threat.
Okay, like what kind of signal?
One of the most powerful ways they highlight is just physical activity, moving your body, whether it's literally shaking out tension, going for a run, dancing like nobody's watching, or, dedicated exercise. It's a primal way your body signals, okay, I escaped.
Ah, I think I remember reading that bit. They have a great anecdote about dancing it out after the lion escaped, right? And how your brain rewards you.
Yeah, with feel-good chemicals.
Wow.
Because you physically enacted the escape. You completed the motion.
That makes so much sense. It's
Yeah.
not just thinking your way out of it. It's giving the body that physical cue. What other kinds of physical release does the source mention?
They list several important ones. Crying, for instance. That's a really potent physical release of emotion and stress energy. Laughter is another big one. The physical act of laughing or even just reminiscing about shared laughter can help release tension. Also things like screaming into a pillow, singing really loudly, maybe writing furiously, or even doing something physically demanding like chopping wood. It's about finding what allows your body to move through that physical response.
That feels incredibly practical. It shifts the focus from just managing the external stressors to actively processing the internal response.
Exactly. Now, the book also dives into those chronic, maybe low-level stressors that really fuel burnout, especially for certain groups, and how emotional recovery and self-care are essential for navigating those.
Right. The source material refers to these as the real enemy, doesn't it?
Yes.
And it points out how they disproportionately impact women.
Yes. Things like the constant sort of traffic noise in the background of life navigating systemic sexism, the often unequal burden of caregiving and household labor, those relentless body image pressures, the insidious effect of gaslighting. You might adapt to them on the surface, but there's still constant physiological drains. They keep that stress cycle simmering.
And a central concept the book introduces to understand this is human giver syndrome. Can you break that down for us?
Sure. Human giver syndrome is described as this collection of beliefs and behaviors, often really deeply ingrained by culture, that pressures people, especially women, to base their worth and meaning primarily on being pleasing, generous, and constantly attentive to others' needs. Often at the significant expense of their own needs and well-being. It's that pervasive feeling that you should be this never-ending source of support for everyone else.
Wow. That sounds exhausting just describing it. How does that connect to something as basic as rest?
Well, it creates this huge internal conflict, right? And guilt. Guilt around prioritizing your own basic physiological needs like sleep or just downtime. The syndrome kind of whispers in your ear that taking time for yourself is inherently selfish because you're not actively giving to someone else in that moment. The source highlights how many women, particularly, are kind of expected to be on duty 24/7, available even during the night for family needs.
Wow. But the book offers a powerful counterpoint to that, framing rest as like radical self-care.
Absolutely. Rest, especially adequate sleep, is presented as fundamental. It's not selfish, it's essential maintenance. This material argues it actually makes you stronger and more capable in the long run. Depriving yourself of rest doesn't make you more virtuous, it just makes you less effective and much more susceptible to burnout.
So prioritizing rest is like a crucial first step in even beginning to listen to your body again.
Exactly. And listening to your body, that's another key practice highlighted for emotional recovery. So many of us are taught to ignore those signals, aren't we? To live from the neck up, just focused on thoughts and external demands.
Yeah, definitely. So how does the source suggest we shift that? How do we start listening?
The invitation is really gentle. It's about turning inwards with kindness. Instead of ignoring discomfort or just pushing through exhaustion, you actually pause and ask your body, what do you need right now? Are you hungry, thirsty, tired? Do you need to move, or maybe just be still? It's about reconnecting with those basic signals and responding with care rather than just overriding them all the time.
And self-compassion comes in here too as a really powerful antidote. The book uses some vivid metaphors for that harsh inner critic,
Yeah.
like the mad woman in the attic.
Yes, or take Khan from Moana, that fiery monster born of pain. That critic, often fueled by perfectionism, tells you you're fundamentally flawed or a failure. That's the voice of shame.
And self-compassion is the opposite.
It's the counter voice. It acknowledges that suffering and difficulty and making mistakes are just part of being human. It doesn't tell you that you are the problem. It's about turning towards your own pain or your own perceived failures with the same kindness you'd naturally offer a friend.
There's science behind this too, right? It actually helps.
Yeah, the science mentioned shows that self-compassion actually lowers stress hormones and improves mood. It makes you more resilient and capable of navigating challenges, not less. It's not letting yourself off the hook. It's giving yourself the support you need to keep going.
I love that concept they introduced called the new hotness. That feels like such a freeing way to push back against all those ingrained pressures around body image.
Doesn't it? It completely reframes body worth. The idea is basically deciding that you are the new hotness today, right now, in whatever body you happen to be in.
Right.
Regardless of external standards or how your body changes over time, it's this act of turning towards your body with kindness and appreciation, defining your worth on your own terms. It's powerful.
And finally, connection. That's highlighted as a primary source of strength, not weakness. They call it the bubble of love.
Connection is absolutely vital for healing and resilience. The book points out that many challenging emotions like deep sadness, rage, feeling inadequate, or that confusing feeling of being gaslit are actually signals. They're signals that you need connection. They use their wonderful example from the movie Inside Out. Remember? Sadness.
Oh, yeah.
Sadness wasn't the problem to be fixed. She was the signal that allowed others to know Riley needed comfort and support. Authentic connection helps you process difficult emotions and navigate tough situations together. You don't have to do it alone.
And the last piece mentioned just briefly is the importance of meaning, engaging with something larger than yourself.
Yes, things like pursuing ambitious goals that matter to you, or dedicating yourself to service, or really nurturing deep relationships. That gives your life direction. It sustains you through struggle. And the book suggests meaning isn't something you just magically find fully formed. It's something you make actively through your choices and commitments. And that process itself fuels your resilience.
Okay, so pulling all these threads together from the source material we've been discussing, burnout isn't just a sign you're working too hard or need a break. It's fundamentally about getting stuck in that stress cycle, physiologically.
Right. And it's made so much worse by navigating these chronic, often invisible stressors and societal pressures, like that human giver syndrome, that constantly tell you to ignore your own essential needs. Needs for rest, for self-compassion, for connection.
And the profound power here, it seems, is recognizing that actively completing the stress cycle, along with intentionally practicing self-care, like prioritizing rest, cultivating self-compassion, seeking genuine connection, and engaging in meaning-making. These aren't selfish indulgences. They're actually the necessary foundations for building resilience.
Absolutely. They are how you replenish your capacity to face the inevitable challenges of life without completely burning out. It's preventative maintenance for your whole being.
It really shifts the focus, doesn't it? From just trying to avoid stress, which is futile, to learning how to move through it and actively refuel yourself along the way.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that your body, your emotions, your connections, these are your core resources. They're not inconvenient demands to be ignored or pushed aside.
It helps explain why simply managing your time better or just doing less often isn't enough to truly overcome burnout. You have to address the body's physiological response and those deeper societal pressures too.
Exactly. It's a more holistic picture.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the material you shared, let's offer you, the listener, one small, actionable practice from the source that you could maybe try today. Something simple to begin completing that stress cycle or just reconnecting with your body's needs.
Okay, here's one gentle option. Just take a slow, mindful breath right now. Turn your attention inwards, away from your busy thoughts for a moment, and just notice the physical sensations in your body. Without any judgment, simply ask your body silently, what do you need right now? And then just quietly listen. Listen for the subtle answer that might arise. Maybe it's the sip of water or the urge to stand up and stretch, or maybe just another moment of stillness.
That's a great one. Or you could try this. Find someone you feel truly safe and connected with. It could be a trusted friend, a partner, a family member, even a pet, and engage in a physical embrace, a hug, for at least 20 seconds. Really focus on the physical sensation of being held or holding, allowing your body to soak in that signal of safety, belonging, and connection.
Both of those are just small, simple ways to start honoring your body and signaling safety and care amidst all the chronic stress we navigate daily. So what stands out to you most from this deep dive today? How does this idea of getting stuck in the stress cycle, or maybe the impact of human giver syndrome, how does that resonate with your own experience? Something to perhaps mull over as you move through the rest of your day?